My name's Dave Lee, a.k.a. Nizuul, and you're watching The Talking Tavern.
Hi, welcome back to The Talking Tavern. I'm Ben, and this is part 3 of my interview with Dave Lee, aka Nizuul. Welcome back, Dave.
Glad to be here.
So we're keeping on the topic of games, but we're shifting, of course, to the video game field. And you were the lead designer on Starblood Arena, which was released earlier this year. And what I think is particularly notable is that Starblood Arena is part of the pioneering field of VR games. And yet, despite VR's history of having these false starts and so on, this game has been very well received. Can you tell us a little bit more about the game and how kind of your role came to be on the project?
Absolutely. VR has officially arrived. Absolutely. And PlayStation, with their headset, now literally, I have one here right now, and I like to play it all the time. You put it on, and the quality of the games now are coming in. So software always sells hardware, and so the sales of VR headsets are going up drastically. But I will say, being a game developer, part of a studio doing VR is extremely difficult to develop. The primary reason is because when a player puts a headset on, they are in a virtual reality, and it tricks the mind into believing that is the space you're in. Because when you have a headset on, when you turn around and look behind you, you look behind you. Yeah. I can't explain it. You have to really put the headset on and experience to understand what I'm talking about.
I've tried the Oculus Rift, and words and videos of other people playing it. It just doesn't explain it. It's like what you can see now. But imagine everything's, polygons and so on.
Exactly. So what they discovered early on is it tricks the mind so much that the mind believes it's really in that space. So what you need to do, what's primary, is when you're generating a game in that environment, is that the environment has to run flawlessly like reality runs flawlessly. If you have hitches in your game and performance issues, or you're doing weird stuff with the player with his movements, the player will literally get nauseated and experience discomfort. And that is the number one no-no in VR games. So what does that mean? Well, in VR, the headset, which a lot of people maybe don't realize, is that the game is being processed twice and being displayed twice. So you're literally running two games at once, which means it has to be
each eye.
You put one into each eyeball. So it's being rendered into each eyeball separately, which means you're effectively taxing the system double, which means you have to be extremely efficient in the way the game is programmed and coded and scripted, and everything, special effects have to be completely optimized, because if you check something into a game and it causes any type of performance hitch, you're checking it out or fixing it. That's it. There is now. Other games will go ahead and be like, oh, we lost a little frame rate there, but God, there's so much going on there. Oh no, not in a VR game. You flunked the test. And so in our particular game, Starblood Arena, what our studio, which is called White Moon Dreams, did is they pitched an idea, a crazy idea of 6 degrees of freedom of movement. So 6 degrees of freedom means that you are literally able to go in any direction, up, down, left, right, backwards, spin upside down, go any direction. The first thing was, oh my gosh, you're going to make the player lose it right there. But our company is a company of it's an indie company, so we're innovators. We're not afraid of trying, and so that was the next step. Is okay, we'll prove it, and lo and behold, it is possible, because Starblood Arena did prove that you can make a game in 6 degrees, 6 degrees of freedom without causing user discomfort. I mean, some players. I mean, there's always warnings on video games that you could experience discomfort, even on flat screen games. So we can't go out and make the blanket statement that no one will ever feel discomfort. But I'm telling you right now, I've been in when we did our PlayStation Expo and put the headset on thousands and thousands of people, and they take it off. We're like, how do you feel? And they're all, I feel good. Yes. Reporters, everyone, that's the first thing they do, is they freak out. They're like, why am I not feeling sick? I just played this game where I feel like I'm in 0G gravity. And to me, that was probably the most innovative and critically acclaimed thing that Starblood did. But I'll tell you right now, Starblood Arena is an amazingly fun and addictive game as well. It just hits all of it. It's a good game. It's a multiplayer arena shooter with some single player game modes. I feel like I'm selling it right now.
Oh, yeah.
But being the lead of design, I'm pretty passionate about it too. So I get it.
Yeah, I think a few comments, and from what I've seen, I don't actually have a PlayStation 4 or the virtual reality headset, but from what I can see, it's reminiscent of and what people have said, the Descent games, which are fondly remembered by everyone, and of course, but it's got that arena environment, and you get to choose characters to play. Is that right? Yeah.
That is right. That is correct. We got a multitude of pilots. Each have their own ships. The ships are customizable. They have progression. They level. You can level up to 20 levels. Each ship has its own play style, and then we even have a mod system where you can modify your weapons and ship to suit your particular play style that you like to play. So you can actually tweak it a little, in different directions as well. And it's funny you mentioned Descent because we have a handful of industry veterans. I'm not a 20-year veteran of the game development industry, but we have guys in the office that are. And guess what game they worked on?
Okay, yeah.
Imagine that. Oh yes, yeah. I work with. I'm truly blessed to be in this studio, just because my growth has been so rapid, so fast. Just being a part of the studio, it's been hard to stay and keep up with it. It's crazy. Yeah, I work with my creative director is. I don't want to rant too. He's incredible. He's absolutely incredible, and he's a ferocious gamer like me as well. And we call ourselves kindred souls. But his experience in the industry makes me look like a child. He can literally build a game from scratch. He's absolutely incredible.
Are any of those people at the games company also RPG fans as well, or is it just you?
We actually, yes. I sit next to the first game White Moon put out was the War Machine Tactics, and I sit next to the designer. And he's a huge Pathfinder, and he's a GM as well. Okay. I haven't had a chance to jump in. We've been trying to get a game at work together, and I want to jump in as a player. And I'm going to play a Dwarf Ranger, and he's going to be imagine a dwarf with a skull, a human skull as a mask, dual axes, so he won't be as much ranged as he will be, hand-to-hand combat. But he's very feral, and his favorite enemy will be dwarf. And so I want to get him in, but
he's not cannibal as well, is he?
Yeah, maybe. I don't want to let the party know yet. We'll let that come out of the adventures. But it's really hard to get campaigns off the ground sometimes. So we've been a little, because different projects are going, and sometimes we just got through our crunch with Starblood, and it's always carving out that time to prop up a campaign. It's been difficult. But then again, like the creative director I mentioned is also a huge role player, and so those two sit right next to me. So sometimes we do these powwows. And start talking RPGs. It's good.
So with the VR in general, do you see it? It does seem like it's grown in the last couple of years since the recent technology has emerged. Do you see that continuing to grow as perhaps the technology gets a little bit cheaper and affordable? Obviously, the PlayStation 4 is probably the most affordable in terms of the top end of the technology. Obviously, there's Google Cardboard and small devices, but it's not. We don't want to criticize that, but it's not quite the same as the proper headset.
Yeah, I must keep my professional composure on that. I'm not good. All right. I think VR is definitely here to stay, but it's not going to take over for anything. If you look over the history of games, like I say, back before even video games showed up, people thought video games was going to take over for tabletop, and role playing, but it doesn't. It just adds to it. It's just another way to express, entertainment through games. And I believe VR is the same thing. I don't think flat screen gaming is going anywhere, and I don't think VR is going to die. I think it's just another avenue for players to experience another level of immersion in a game world. And I just think it's just going to continue to grow. And I don't even know what's around the corner next. Oh my God, there will be another game.
I guess the problem is there's never really been any kind of figures kept of how many tabletop players there are, and of course Wizards don't release their figures and so on. So I know in terms of children's television watching, that it used to be very popular for 10 to 15-year-olds to watch a version of children's television, and that kind of has drifted away, and that's been blamed on the rise of video games. But it's going to be hard to know if there's an effect on one audience being drained because of an emergent technology, unless you're kind of recording those figures.
Right, right. This is just my personal
Mm-hmm.
opinion. I have no science to back it. I can't send you to any sources, but I don't watch television. I'll watch a movie now and then because it bores me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I believe that video games are one avenue. And tabletop games, all that. You can lose a video game. You make decisions. You're more engaged. It's interactive, and I just believe, in my mind, it's healthier than vegging out in front of a television for 6 hours. And when people slam people, when people make negative comments towards video gamers for spending extensive hours in front of the video game, those are the same people that just veg in front of a TV and just.
That's a very good point, and I made a similar point actually to someone who will remain nameless, my girlfriend, about the use of phones and people reading articles on phone, messaging friends. You can do so many things on phones, and there seems to be a growing kind of social commentary of people saying, "Oh, isn't it terrible that people use phones all the time?" And while I agree that it's terrible if you're at a meal and someone's got a phone out, or at a game when they're meant to be rolling dice and they've got a phone out, that is terrible and should never be done. But I think if the same person had a book, then people, he's got a book, that's fine. But because I think it's a relatively new bit of technology, I think people get the pitchforks out and have a slightly slanted negative view on it.
Sure, for sure. I mean, as long as it's done, and anyone can get addicted to anything, really. It's just keeping that life balance. And if you're at a social gathering and people are interacting face to face and you're on your phone,
yeah,
that probably that's bad optics. I would say,
definitely.
That you're more interested in what's going on the internet than the people in front of you.
Yeah.
I think that
I definitely could do with less time on Twitter, I think. And
yeah, my God, man, I recently, it hasn't been that long since I've really jumped on Twitter and really engaged in Twitter. But man, the RPG Twitter community, holy moly!
It never
I was
sleeps.
so played because I've always heard that Twitter is a battleground. And everyone's arguing and this and that. You see all the celebrities fighting on Twitter and all that. So I always stayed clear of that because I didn't want that environment.
Yeah.
The RPG community cannot be any more polar opposite. All I've seen is just support, great conversations, great resources being offered, and I've learned so much just from everyone supplying me with just this wonderful information. And I am loving the RPG community on Twitter.
I think there's the odd individual who might be a fanatic about a certain system against another one, but in all, it's quite a very welcoming and.
It really is. Really is. I feel like I'm friends
community
with a bunch of people that I've never met in real life.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. But they're good people. I know they're good. I can tell just by the interactions that we have. And there's a lot of good gamers out there. A lot of good RPGers.
Tabletop, I guess in some respects, might suit a VR version at some point. Do you see that, or do you think that it's
that actually exists? If you go on Steam, there's Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah.
They have a VR version.
Oh, okay, right.
Now I've seen people stream that, do a game around in VR, and it was really clever the way the streamer did it. I thought it was really clever. Is they somehow embedded the picture of the person at the chair, because you're literally in a virtual reality environment around a table, and so you could see the person in like the space that they're playing at.
Yeah.
And and so it's really clever. But
is it like a 2D billboard of the
exactly.
person?
Imagine like a widget, of their icon or their face.
Oh, okay.
So it would be so there'd be a spot at the table and there'd be me going, you know what I mean? And then game runs with a hand, in VR, and you're going around picking things up and rolling it, and you can spin the table around. And so I watched the stream for a while. I think the application needs a little more love to really become mainstream. It's getting close, but there is something out there already.
And did it look like the kind of thing that might take off if enough people get the technology, or do you think Roll20 and in person is how it's going to remain for the foreseeable future?
That is a really good question.
And fantasy grounds as well.
Yeah, here's all right. My theory on that would be, I think it's a good question. I'm putting all the variables together.
Yeah. See what we can
Because
add.
another thing is I've seen VR movies being pitched, and my first instinct on VR movies was I don't know if someone's going to want to keep that headset on in its current iteration, in its current form, for that long because the headset has weight to it.
Yeah.
And one, I believe, because everything in technology gets miniaturized, I believe when VR becomes more lighter and more comfortable to the user, extended VR sessions will become, more doable. And I worry about a 3 to 4 hour game session with VR headsets in their core.
The weight at the minute, it's like a couple of pounds, is it? Or
it's not terribly heavy, but you'll feel it.
It adds up over an hour of playing.
For sure, and it also encompasses your whole face, so you end up getting a little hot in there too.
I suppose it's a bit like if anyone's been paintballing. With the
perfect example.
goggles.
Perfect example. Yeah, you're totally enclosed in this environment. So when they come up, as that comes down in size and gets more comfortable to the user, longer sessions will probably come into play. So that's my first instinct. And man, when I think of playing VR Dungeons and Dragons, I think of actually being my character, not sitting at the table. To me, and games are coming out like that, so there's going to be that stuff. And I've never really seen a DM integrated into a game done at the level where it's taken off. Because I know Sword Coast tried that. They had a DM version where the DM runs the game and has some resources that he could use to spend to mess with the players and do stuff live. I thought that was really ingenious, but it didn't really take off. So I don't know. I never tried it, so I don't know exactly how it's implemented. We'll see, though. This is the great questions about the future, because the future for gaming is exciting. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. But hopefully it'll always be people having fun with friends. That's one constant I think we can rely on.
That you nailed it. That's the core. That is it. Yeah, it's all about bonds, making those bonds and friendships, man. It's exactly the name of the game.
Right. Well, before we go, how best is it that people contact you, stay up to date with your work, and how can they view your actual plays?
I'm pretty active on Twitter, so following me on Twitter is the best way. At Nizuul, that's Nizuul. I engage with people. I talk to everybody, and so I tend to follow back if you're any type of RPG or gamer. If I see that in your profile, I'll follow you right back because I'm interested in conversations. I'm not interested in pitching anything I have. I just want to get to know you and your experience so I can learn from you. And we also have a Real Chaotic Good. That's for our Chaotic Good live actual plays. And the Twitter for that is at Real Chaotic Good. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to spell that one out. But yeah,
we'll
one.
Yeah. We'll put it down now.
And take a look at what we got. I'm really, really happy to see, the friends I grew up with, getting excited about getting in front of a camera and doing our dorky stuff. And, trying to be as, just doing what we do, and and it seems to be catching on. People seem to be enjoying the game sessions and what we're doing.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Dave, aka Nizuul. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed this, and I look forward to keeping in touch and seeing more of your work. Thank you very much.
Likewise, Ben. It's been a pleasure, and you're a great guy.
Thank you. Have a good day.